Hello and welcome to day 27 of Adventures in Tarot Casting for the month of October 2025, or whenever it is that you're seeing this video. Today we are working with the Death-Moth Overthinking, which is this sticker backdrop. Here's the spreads, and here is my page that I have drawn. So the reason that this page exists, and this is one of my revisits as well, is a few years ago I was just going through it with my, realizing my overconsumption of social media, of being online, of constantly scrolling, and how much that was taking away from me being present in the world around me. So this is the image that came out. It was kind of like the Death-Moth was this reminder, that I was being drawn to this false light instead of the sun, and getting out and touching grass and being in nature and being in the world that's actually around me. And it's oddly enough, I find that it's happening again. It's like the news cycle is created by design to keep us plugged in. The old image had like a little pig cage with all the social media icons in it. But I revisited this spread and changed that to a brain because it's more about my brain. It's more about where our thoughts go. And then when we get into these cycles of looping, and that's when it's just spiral thoughts, circular thinking, just kind of going over and back to things I can't control, all that stuff. So I revisited it because I thought that that's where the real issue was. It wasn't in these outside forces. They're always going to exist. It's within my own brain. So then bringing in the moth, it's the moth being drawn to this light. So moths are drawn to natural light. This is what I have written on the bottom of the card here. It says, in order to stay within their instinctual flight patterns, when they see an artificial light, they throw themselves off kilter and into a tailspin. That's why they kind of throw themselves to the light to try and distinguish it. They actively try to extinguish the false light in order to get back on their path. The same concept can be applied to an overactive brain, which I have, one that will grab onto a thought and keep replaying it ad nauseum, thus distracting it from the ability to think straight. Use this spread when you need help finding your way when overthinking loops take over. So I thought it would be really just neat to use some of the, a word deck. I know it's not a small card, but this, even though this has pocket oracle card placements, but I thought the diviner definitions would be good for those. And then I'm going to use the Banksy tarot for the intrusive thoughts, because it's kind of like the graffiti that's happening, in our mind. So let's just get to the demo, shall we? So the first position is this card here, like this one, and then the last position will be that way. So it thus completes the loop. So we've got the intrusive thought that's going to be here, and then we get to the wings, which is the natural light, and then the artificial light, and then the tiles, which is embody, and then the antenna, and then the sixth position is ending the loop going this way. So let's just see what intrusive thoughts might be showing up lately, especially, this, I feel like this sticker really applies right now, and the world is just, the first thing I do is check my phone, and I know it's a bad habit. I'm trying to get out of it, but it's just like, oh, what did I miss? And then when you realize what did you miss and you can't control it anyway, it just adds to the loop of fear and feeling like you can't do anything, and then asking what you're willing to do, and it's just the thoughts start. That's how the looping thoughts start. So this is the intrusive thought, the current energy commandeering our peace of mind, the cause of the spiraling. Sister of spray cans. So I know that that's one of the royals. Let me just look at the guidebook real quick just to find out what that is. But so it's the page. All right. And spray cans, sister, there's nothing more dangerous than someone who wants to make the world a better place. So is that, oh wait, no, that's buckets. Sister of Spray Cans says, the people who truly deface our neighborhoods aren't the companies that scrawl giant slogans across the buildings and buses trying to make scratch that, go back to it. The people who truly deface our neighborhoods are the companies that scrawl giant slogans across buildings and buses trying to make us feel inadequate unless we buy their stuff. So yeah, that really is the cause of the overthinking, the current energy. It's this big corporation. It's our being attached to the phones. It's the constant need to feed the algorithm, right? So if that couldn't be more on point, I just don't even know what is. And it's always funny when tarot shows up and says, well, you asked for it, so we're going to give this to you. So then let's see, let's get some advice from the dictionary. Let's see what we can do. And we have natural light. This is beneficial to our well-being, and then the artificial light is what needs to be eliminated. This is a big deck, so it's harder to shuffle. This is why, the card stock's great, but my little hands are having an issue with it. So let me clear up some space down here on my table. Beneficial to our well-being. Beneficial, we have grace, disposition to act of kindness, temporary exemption to reprieve, mercy or pardon, a special favor, unmerited divine assistance, charming or attractive trait. So this is beneficial. It's our grace. It's the way that we can go about the world with grace, that we can just kind of act out of kindness and understand that everybody is experiencing this, even if they are in denial of it, or if they don't realize how much they are being preyed victim of the algorithm and the giant tech companies and the corporations and all the things. We need to give them a little grace and understanding, right? And so then we've got the artificial light, and this is what needs to be eliminated. The shadow. The obscurity or darkness within a space from which rays from a source of light are cut off by an interposed opaque body, a small degree or portion, a vestigial remnant, a source of gloom, an imperfect and faint representation to follow, especially secretly, to accompany or observe or trail. So what needs to be eliminated is that source of gloom, right? So turn out the light, turn the TV off, all of the above. Right now we are collectively living in a shadow, so we need to eliminate the shadow. And in order to do that, to get our wings back on balance, we have to have grace. We have to have grace with ourselves. We have to have grace with other people who are really stuck in the shadows, understanding that they're not seeing the same things that maybe we are. And maybe what we're not understanding is what they're understanding. So it's like we can only take care of our collective communities and our families, and by doing that, we have to have grace for it. If you hear noise, Braxton is being a little brat this morning, and that is not something I can control. Puppy. So now we have embody. Use this to get back into our body, into the true nature. This is going to help us get back on course, right? Actually, the antenna is that part, but this is to help us get in our body so that we can get back on course. And you could use tarot tiles or smaller decks, or, you can use anything in these positions. I'm just using Lenormand tiles. And so we have fish. And fish is, to get back in the body, we have to find like our own source of abundance, maybe our own school of thought, the school of fish, the things that give us the feeling of plenty, right? And that can mean more than just money. That could be people showing up and protesting. That could be people coming together and saying, hey, we need to collectively figure out how to get rid of the source of gloom. We need to figure out how to stop those who would try to control us, because we are many and they are not, right? And so 5, the antenna, this is what helps get us back on course. And then you could use those two together too. Let's see. And we have the moon. And the moon will help us understand that everything is cyclical. This too is a cycle, and this is like the spotlight is being shown. Like when I see the moon, I think of like a couple things. I think of a spotlight, like kind of like giving us direct access of where that is, like the illumination of that. I think of the cycles of the moon, but paired with the fish, it's saying, hey, together we can put a spotlight on the big issue of the problem, right? And so that is going to help us get back on track. And so to close that loop, to close this circular thinking of going, well, it's just too much and I have to constantly be plugged in, because if I'm not, I might miss it. And then that's okay if you miss it, because tomorrow there's going to be another crisis and another crisis. There's the news is the biggest issue, because they're going to, they want us to be in fear, right? Our attention is what they want. And like right now, my puppy is demanding attention and he's in his crate because he's being a brat. And so he's not getting our attention, and he will calm down. So this is the closing of the loop. This tarot card crosses number 1. This energy helps to remember our purpose. Helps us remember who we are. And understand that we are not always our thoughts, right? And thoughts aren't always a thing that is going to come to fruition. It's just a thought. Not every thought gets its moment to be birthed into the sun. And we have 10 of brushes. If you want to achieve greatness, stop asking for permission. I love that. So let's see what the little book says. I have a feeling it's going to say just that. 10 of brushes. Where are we? Let's rake hands. 10. You don't need planning permission to build castles in the sky. Backbreaking responsibility, stressful work burden. Why me? Why not me? But I feel like this is saying you don't need the permission. Turn the TV off. Go and do something creative. Go and organize, and go and just whatever it is that you stand firmly by. Yes, it feels exhausting, but to close the loop, you also have to understand that you're not alone in it. And it's not your responsibility to be the one who is doing it. It's our responsibility. So it takes the thought from why me to because we, right? And so that's a way that we would use this spread. If I approach this with something that wasn't just so collective and wasn't, obviously it's hard to not bring in some of the modern world issues that are going on, because it is a lot. So they show up a lot in my demo readings. Sometimes they show up in my collective readings. But if I was doing this for, say, a thinking thing about my career, then I would have the focus of that and be like, what is the spotlight on, and use that as the center focus. And then the reading would obviously show up around that. But for me, I set the stage with this backdrop of saying, well, my overconsumption of social media. And since that was the intention going into the spread, that's what showed up, because when I'm over-consuming social media, it's usually because I'm looking at news articles and I'm looking at my favorite content creators who are constantly plugged in. and I'm exhausted for them. So this is what showed up, but that's just a way that you can use this. Have you used this spread? Do you enjoy this spread? Again, thank you for being here with me during this whole month. It's been so much fun. We have a couple days left, so I'm going to push this out of the way and see which one we're working with tomorrow. And stop. And we have doorways. Cool. So this one tomorrow is going to be the doorway spread, and that's always a fun one. So again, thank you for being here with me, and be sure to like and subscribe to my channel. Tell your tarot loving friends about it. Follow me on Patreon. If you feel compelled, you can also subscribe to a tier. I know the world's a bit weird. And so anybody who has subscribed to a tier, I do appreciate you and thank you for that. Thank you for being part of my creative world. Follow me on the socials, even as I try and cut back a little bit. And I will see you here tomorrow. Have a good one. Bye.